Hey everyone, welcome back to the Design Duo. Today we have myself, Roxanne, and Bella, and we haven't done a podcast for a while, so we're excited to do this. First of all, we want to talk to you about our latest trip to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, where we went for training for chief architect. And Roxanne, Bella, how was that experience for you guys?
That was so fun. Not only like the trip itself, but learning everything. It was just really interesting to learn.
And I feel like it's elevated our abilities for all of our customers as well. I know a lot of people have a hard time visualizing things. So I think that with the ability to plug in all of their preferences and show them from start to finish, you know, what the current look of everything is to what their dream home would look like is outstanding. I mean, I think that it completely changes the game for us for sure.
Agree. And if you guys aren't aware of what Chief Architect is, it's a 3D computer rendering program where now we are able to really help you visualize your space by putting it into the computer in a 3D mode so you can really see and visualize how everything's going to look. Blueprints, floor plan layouts, furniture placement, that kind of a thing. So now we have that ability. It just really elevated our entire design situation, really, and it will help, I think, just raise the bar across the board.
Yes. And it'll cut out some of the time that it takes to actually sit down and do the drawings, because I know that that's something we offer as well. And for certain instances, it's still something that's really vital to the project. But it's great because it helps us help our other trades that are involved with the program as well. And so everybody's on the same page. I mean, we could provide them with the same paperwork for every aspect of the project. And I think that just cuts out a lot of the additional hours of time that it puts into the planning stages as well.
I think it really helps with like decision making too, because if you explain to someone, well, if we did this cabinet or this cabinet, and they're like, okay, well, I don't even know what that would look like. You can be like, oh, let me plug in both these options for you, and then plug them both in, and then they can literally see what it'd look like in their own kitchen.
Yeah, Roxanne just did an awesome kitchen layout with a client, and it so helped. I mean, I watched them working together on showing what the kitchen would look like, and it was night and day. Before we were hand drawing everything or trying to go off of, you know, two-dimensional drawings and renderings. But Coeur d'Alene, if you guys have never been to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho,
oh my gosh.
It's
like a heaven on earth. Seriously.
It really is. It's the most beautiful place I've personally ever been to. I love it there. I have family that lives there, and it was super fun to bring everybody there and show them what Idaho is really all about with the mountains and being surrounded by Coeur d'Alene Lake. So highly recommend going there if you've never been there.
It was inspirational, I think, for design too, because I feel like we've kind of taken a turn as far as design goes, and we've integrated a lot more moody concepts and doing a lot more natural materials. I see more trends in wood cabinet. Wood cabinets and everything. So that was very much the style of Coeur d'Alene, and they had some ultra modern, and then they had more mountain house kind of looks, and it was so cool to just drive around the lake and see all of the houses. I know in DL we do that all the time.
It's breathtaking.
Yeah,
and it's really so timeless too. I love how timeless it is there. It's never going to go out of style.
Yeah, so we basically, Bella's like, I want to get married there. Like, we decided we're getting married in Coeur d'Alene.
Hint dropped.
So not that long ago, we had a client come into Allure, and she said, I love watching your guys' podcast. I have an idea for you. And we're always up for ideas. So if anybody's got any ideas for us that you want us to have visit about a specific topic, let us know. But she said, I really want you guys to do a podcast in your houses. I want to see what your houses are about, or things that you've done in your own homes, because we're always doing other people's homes. So we are sitting in my home here. Don't judge. We've got a lot left that we want to do, but we've done a lot in this house since we've been here, moving in 2018 or 19. My dog is barking in the background. So with that being said, let's just start talking about some of the things. So I'm going to pop up some before pictures here. The first thing that we did when we moved in is we had a sunken living room that was right over here in the living room. And it was so awkward because this part that we're sitting on that Bella and I are at was counter height, where that was bar height where Roxanne's at. So it was like a constant trip hazard going on right here. So
and with kiddos and stuff, I mean, it would be like, okay, we got to change this first.
And Troy's grandma and and so the other thing that we did is that was carpet, and then this was like a vinyl tile, and we just had, you know, when you go from one floor to another and it doesn't have an even flow, we put wood flooring throughout the entire house except for the bathrooms.
And it really opens everything up. I mean, rather than having your visual separations of different heights of your flooring, and building that floor up and adding one consistent floor, in this case you did hardwood flooring, it really expands the space. I mean, all the square footage is the same, but it really does give you the illusion of making it a lot bigger.
And I think, you know, with the trends too nowadays being where you're putting one floor throughout the entire house, the flow of it, not having those transition pieces from one floor to another is huge.
And it's way easier to keep clean.
Yep.
And I personally love hardwood floors. It would be a really big struggle for me not to put a hardwood floor in my own home. I love the way they feel. I love the way they sound when you walk on them, the warmth of them, everything about them. And we've got so many options in our studio to show you too. So
there's something to be said about authenticity of products too, whenever you're using natural products, and vinyl plank has come a long way. We're not dissing vinyl plank, but I personally really love hardwood floors too. So if you're interested, it is still super duper durable. I mean, you're on the lake, you have dogs, you have kids, you have a husband that works in the construction industry, and they look amazing.
Yeah. And you know, I think a lot of people are scared about that with being on the lake. So I'm glad you brought that up. Is they're like, ooh, well, people are coming in with sand and wet feet and all the things, but I mean, we've been here for 5 years and I don't have a problem with the hardwood floors at all. I mean, so they're not a problem. They're easy to maintain.
Yeah. They have a titanium dioxide coating to them. So essentially it creates like a shield for a lot of that stuff too. So it just makes it easier to clean.
I love your big words. That's amazing.
Titanium dioxide.
The other thing that we've done is, so we did change out all of the doors and all of the trim, because when we moved in here, it was, I'm not joking you, the dark brown hollow doors with the gold handles, the brass
shiny gold
handles, knobs. So if you can picture that, and I'm going to pop up a picture of what that looked like too. But we went with these white doors and with the black hardware on the white doors, and then did the whole house trimmed out in white. So doing that alone and changing out your doors and your trim or painting them, whatever works best for you, makes a huge difference in updating the spaces too.
And I think even making like all of your base trim or your ceiling trim match to your doors also makes like a cohesive, nice, fluent look too.
Definitely. And updates it tremendously.
That's music to my ears, because we have honey oak everything in our place right now, and we've teetered back and forth, and we know that if we're going to make changes, we're going to touch our floors, we're going to paint our walls, we're going to remove our base trim. It's like at that point, it's the perfect opportunity for you to then do that. So I love this house. I think that it's a perfect model for people who have an awesome eclectic style that want to incorporate the lake vibes, but also have some fun contrast. And I love the white, and then how you have your wood colored floors, and then coming up to the ceiling. This is a huge aspect of this entire place that makes it feel so large in here, again, with the illusion of contrast and adding, you previously had a dark wood stain. They weren't real beams, were they?
So they were real beams, but they were dark brown.
Yes.
Again, just like everything else was in the 70s. But then in between there was popcorn ceiling. So yeah, the dark brown beams with the popcorn ceiling, and like maybe 2 light fixtures in the entire ceiling, because back then people really functioned off of table lamps and that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
It was really hard to see in the kitchen. We didn't have these pendant lights above the island at all. So when I say that there were literally 2 lights in here, there was literally 2 lights in the ceiling. So I changed that right away. We did the drop down pendants. And initially, I've actually changed the ceiling twice. We did all the shiplap in between the beams and then painted the beams white themselves. But then after, time, I decided like I wanted to wrap them in cedar. So this is actually a natural raw cedar that is covered over top of the existing beams. And I will never paint again in my life after painting all of the shiplap, which was 3 coats out in the yard. Thank God for family to come and help, but man, that was a chore. So
it's worth it for
that
sure.
destroyed my painting career.
Yeah.
Literally. So the other thing that I want to bring up is having 2 different tones of cabinets, or 3 different tones. So in this house, I do actually have 3 different tones of cabinets. I've got a white kitchen island, but my perimeter cabinets are kind of like a light gray. And then in order to pull in warmth, I'm always about, when you have cool tones, bringing in warm textures too. So I did a dark cherry cabinet in the dining room behind us, just to kind of bring out the wood tones of the dining room table, but also to just break up all the white.
And adds a lot of depth in there too. Transitioning from the kind of softness of this space with this dramatic countertop in here, and then having a lot more contrast in that area with the wood ceiling that is more of like a barn wood is absolutely stunning. And they work together and they're coordinating, but they're not exactly the same products. And that's a great thing to point out too.
Yes. So everything like flows together. But yeah, let's go over to the dining room ceiling for a second, because the dining room ceiling, we'll do a scan of that for you here, or before and after picture. So that used to be their actual living room. And when we came in, it was just felt like there was too many tables between this island and then the dining room table being over here. So we turned that into our living room and then made their living room into our dining room. And so the wood on the ceiling in there is actually from Two Inlets Mill. And when that first started going up, I was like, oh my gosh, it feels kind of dark. But then once we did the 3-foot high wainscoting in there and then the blue color walls, everything just started coming together. I think crown molding and ceiling accents, you should always think of your ceiling as another part of your room.
Your fifth wall.
I think
like the ceiling.
Yeah, I think everyone is so scared to have different styles in their house. Like, I think they're like, oh, I need to stick with farmhouse or I need to stick with modern. But I think like this is a perfect example of there's like multiple styles in here and they all go together and it makes it your own. Like, it doesn't have to be one specific style to be your own.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because I'm super eclectic and I like all the different styles, which I think as an interior designer, you have to be able to transition to the different styles and know how to piece them all together.
And it's hard to pick one. I think if you pick one specific one and that's the only influence that you have for this space, you can think about, like, let's say in 15 years, maybe that is a little bit more dated because you can pinpoint exactly what it is, versus having something that's kind of mysterious. It's like, oh, I love this. This is modern. I love this. This is rustic. And mixing them all together, it really creates something that is, you can't pinpoint what it is. And I think that keeps it interesting for people.
I think that's a perfect way to describe that dining room, really, is like we've got this really amazing basket weave 3D dimensional tile on the backsplash in the hutch area. But then you've got the rustic ceiling and you've got the almost formal chandelier.
Yeah.
So I love entertaining. So having a space like that I could formalize a little bit just by adding that chandelier, formalize that entire room. It turned the rustic ceiling into a formal area. It was really kind of cool how that all came together.
Yeah.
It's like an effortless, elegant style. But there was a wall there before, is that correct?
So thank you. Yeah, there was. Yep. So we did open up this between the kitchen and the dining room was only about a 3-foot wide doorway before, maybe a little bit wider. But when we came in here, it really felt small. So trying to find ways to open it all up, that was a great spot for us to do that, because it just made the house continue to flow all the way through and look a lot bigger.
I think that was a big thing back then too, was like having separate rooms for literally everything. And now we're trying to open everything up and make things feel as one. Like if someone's dining in the dining room and someone's in the kitchen, you can still talk to each other and not feel like you're in a totally different room.
So that's a good point. I want to ask a question to both of you. Do you guys think that the closed concept of having a divided or separated kitchen is ever going to come back?
Separated?
Like the kitchen is off on its own?
No.
I don't think so either.
Okay.
No.
Because I think I've been kind of doing some research or reading, and, some people think it might come back, but I don't know. Nobody wants to be the woman in the kitchen slaving away while everybody's having fun and by themselves in the living room.
Or the man. Yeah. But no, I personally, just like you said before, I mean, this creates an open concept space for everybody to be a part of the interactions of entertaining. I mean, in cooking, and I feel like in my home and a lot of people's families, like that's where you congregate. That's where everybody circles around for the holidays, and that's where all of the great conversations happen and everything like that. So if you were to have a separate space, I feel like it's going to transition into pantries where you have a separate dishwasher, you have a separate sink.
Yes.
So that way you can hide all the junky stuff from your guests or from your family or whatever. So that way you can continue doing more entertaining or just getting to it later whenever you're done with your festivities.
Going off of that, I don't think it will come back based off the fact that we've now like brought our dining room into our kitchen. Like now we make an island where you can sit all around it and you can entertain and you can.
And some people don't even have a dining room table.
That's completely
I don't have
true.
a dining room table.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Like that, the kitchen island has become the new dining room table in a lot of situations.
The breakfast nook for sure. Yeah.
And if you can fit a lot of people there, why not? I mean, 90% of the time we're eating here. I really, truly only use my dining room when I'm hosting like a Thanksgiving or I want to do a fancier meal or, just to be more of an intimate area, essentially. But let's talk about wallpaper. So I've got some super fun wallpaper that I did in my daughter's bedroom when we redid that. And I've also got a really fun wallpaper that is totally just my personality and kind of fun for the lake in the main bathroom. Now that wallpaper is not going to be for everybody, but I love it. And every time I go in there, it's one of those rooms that make me smile because I go in and I'm like, oh, it's so fun, you know?
Yes.
And it's out of the box and it's not something that everybody else would do, or a bathroom that you're going to find that's all white that looks like every other bathroom that looks like all white. So I think that wallpaper is a really great way to express yourself. And if you're doing it just on one simple accent wall, like I've done in both Prim's room and in the main bathroom, it's totally interchangeable. If you get sick of it in 10 years, big deal, you know? So I say express yourself, go for it, be bold, be brave, and, you know, play with those different patterns because it's fun to add. And if it makes you smile, do it.
Absolutely. I love the texture that it adds for one, but just to talk about that whole room in general, can we talk about more than just the wallpaper?
Yeah. Are you talking the bathroom or Prim's room?
The bathroom.
Okay.
So in that bathroom, I was kind of shocked that, you did it's like a 6 foot tall wainscoting.
6 foot high wainscoting with 8 foot ceiling.
And it's not a huge bathroom, but oh my goodness, when you walk in there, the having the high trim color on the wainscoting throughout that bathroom, and it's a 6 foot high wainscoting, and then also having a wood feature on the ceiling. The ceiling is a shiplap, but it's painted in navy blue to go with the palm fronds that are on the wallpaper.
You are good. You know my house.
Yeah. Well, I'm in love with your bathrooms. I'm in love with the house, but I just think it's fabulous. And you know what? It's really different. And I think that anybody who comes as a guest who comes into your bathroom has that same feeling. It's almost like you get a little bit of a warm
it's like,
embrace.
did you see that bathroom?
You know?
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Like, or man, Troy's got to go to the bathroom in a pink bathroom, but but it's actually like, I call it a little corally. But yes, it's fun. And we did do the navy blue shiplap on the ceiling with the white crown molding. And we pulled that navy blue, like Roxanne said, out of the botanical print in the wallpaper. And then the 6 foot high wainscoting really feels a little cottagey, but also, again, it kind of formalizes the space.
It does.
Otherwise, you have these bare, long sheetrock walls that you feel like you got to hang something on and don't know what to do with. But I love the wainscoting in the bathroom, and even with the 8 foot ceilings, don't be afraid to do that with 6 foot high wainscoting. We're also doing that in our conference room that we're redoing currently, or adding to our showroom at Design to Sell It. We have 12 foot ceilings in there, and we're doing a 7 foot high wainscoting in there as well. So we'll be able to show you guys that and share with that too. And I love adding that. I've even considered adding this 6 foot high wainscoting along my back, my couch wall, and kind of around this space too, and down the hallway, just to formalize it again. And I feel like, you know, some of these walls are just so bare, you just don't know what to do with them. Like, let's eat up some of that space and keep it more simple.
Well, it adds a little bit of durability too. I mean, like with kids and dogs and everything like that. I mean, sheetrock walls, I mean, sometimes you can just run right into something and you gouge the wall a little bit, but wainscoting is a bit more durable too. And it can always be repainted. If you wanted to do something fun in a bathroom and you couldn't decide if doing wallpaper was for you, wainscoting being painted a color is also a great way to incorporate some interest.
It doesn't just have to be white. That's
Yeah.
a really good point. I mean, you can do black, you can do any color you want, just like I did the navy blue on the ceiling. So totally agree. So with the bathroom, one more thing is the floor heat is another like just super big plus. If you guys don't have floor heat underneath your tile, are you considering it, or you're considering cutting it out of the budget? Don't do it. I mean, it's like the best thing ever in the winter and in the summer, because I leave mine on all summer long, honestly.
Yeah.
You go in there, you don't want cold feet. The tile's always cold. So it's a really added benefit and bonus to
Makes
have
it
that.
more cozy year round for sure.
Do you have floor heat going in? You got floor heat in your concrete. Bella's building a house right now, so she's got a really cool style going on too.
Floor heat and everything. That's our main heating source. I mean, we have backup ductwork, but yeah, I'm excited for it.
Yeah,
It'll be
exactly.
nice.
Can't live without it. I've even seen people put floor heat right into the showers, and that's cool because you know what else it does is it actually dries up the water on the shower floor too
More quickly.
So,
Yeah.
I think it just adds a level of like luxury and comfort. Like for anyone that walks in your house, they definitely notice it. They're like, oh, they have floor heat. It's so comfortable. Like, you know,
especially with our Minnesota winters. I mean, it makes a huge difference. So I think it was it 2 years ago now, I decided that I was going to renovate and update Prim's room.
Yes.
So I want to talk about Prim's room for a minute because she had carpet. We ran the wood flooring all the way through, both hers and Titan's. But in Prim's room, we did white shiplap on the ceiling with a white crown molding. But then we also did the 6 foot high wainscoting throughout all of the walls except for one. And that one wall was the wall that we did a chevron looking wood looking chevron wallpaper.
And it looks like it's real wood. It's so realistic and it's beautiful. And
I feel like it's pretty timeless too.
It is.
Like it's not something that she's going to get sick of where it's unicorns or rainbows on the walls or anything like that she's going to outgrow. Yeah. So.
But I think it adds a little bit of, maturity to the pink and the white and the wood and everything. I just think it's something she can grow with for many years and still love. And if you just paint the walls another color and more neutral, then it still is perfect. So.
Exactly. So yeah, we accented with just pink in there, like a pink bedspread and that sort of thing. And then I did a really pretty little chandelier in her room too, and some floating shelves that we actually lit up underneath, which we use as a nightlight for her all the time. And I just love that space. It turned out so good too.
It's a dream bedroom for anybody. I would be happy with that bedroom.
I want to touch back on wallpaper really quick. I think a lot of people struggle with paint colors and styles and what they want their accent colors to be, and I think wallpaper is a great thing for that. Like you can go on and pick a wallpaper that you like and then base your style of your room or base the colors off of your room by that wallpaper. Like you're saying, you pull the navy blue from the wallpaper in your bathroom and you put it on the ceiling. I think that it's a really easy way for people to find accent colors and do something fun with their room without feeling pressured and overwhelmed.
Yeah, absolutely.
I 100% agree. I'm a firm believer that okay, let's talk about this Minnesota Avenue rental that I'm working on right now. I didn't know what to do in there, but I found one piece of inspiration, and that's where I'm going with this, is that you just said with the wallpaper, finding that piece that inspires you and kind of basing your whole room off of that. It was this one artwork piece that inspired me for the entire house. So find that piece that makes you happy. We actually had a lady not that long ago that said she had a trivet.
Oh, yeah.
And it was, gray.
It was
white,
gray and
brown.
little pom-poms.
And she's like, this is what I want my house to be based off of.
Yeah.
And it was literally a stove trivet, but she loved it and she loved the colors. And I love when people bring us those ideas. Like, okay, we can work off this. This is actually really great that you brought it. I know it's a stove trivet.
Yeah.
But we love when people can say, I am inspired by this.
I love when people come in with mood boards too, or their Pinterest boards, and be like, I love this style, and it makes it easy for us to kind of read them better and make sure it's fit to their style, not just what we think would look best in their house, because we want to make it personable for everyone and make it something that's their own, not just that a designer came in and made it all modern,
Yeah. One of my favorite experiences with that specifically is I had a client come in and she had an upholstered pillow where it was hand embroidered, and it had all these beautiful flowers, and it was many, many years old, and it was something that was near and dear to their heart. So essentially she's like, honestly, if you could just use this as inspiration, I would be happy with any color and the vibe of this. It's a botanical look. And so we transformed her bedroom and did a really funky dark teal accent wall behind her bed.
Oh, yeah.
And it was so much fun because we played into certain aspects of it that you can draw from the inspiration. It's not like you're stuck with only that pattern, only that color, but I think it kind of set the vibe. It was kind of boho.
And she was so happy too.
She's
was
like,
so Roxanne,
happy.
I love this space. You nailed it. And that was really cool because she had that inspirational piece to inspire her to learn more about the client too.
Yeah.
So that's
But it was
really
so
cool.
much fun. Oh my gosh. I love that bedroom,
yes,
by the
that
way.
was really pretty.
Yeah.
You did a good job on that.
Thanks.
Let's talk about mixing metals, okay? Because people are sometimes afraid to mix metals. So I want to give an example, since we're sitting in here, of the metals that I've mixed alone in this kitchen. So just sitting in the kitchen, I've got the brushed gold, 2 pendant lights above the kitchen island. I've got the brushed gold I brought in again with the kitchen sink faucet. But I've got a stainless steel sink. I've got black stainless steel appliances. And then I've got matte black hardware on my cabinets. Whew, that's a lot.
That's a lot, but it looks effortless at the same time.
But it's mixed and it's interesting. And back in the day when you had to have brushed nickel was your kitchen faucet, the entire house had to have brushed nickel, everything. Doorknobs, sink faucets, everything had to be brushed nickel.
Well, it used to be when in doubt, do brushed nickel.
Yes, yes. Or the oil wrap bronze. And now what's crazy about the oil wrap bronze is, where was I?
Out.
Up in Ferguson's. Yeah. They had one oil rub bronze faucet. Everything's transitioned to a matte black. It's getting harder and harder to find that oil rub bronze. So
it truly is, yeah.
But brushed nickel I feel is timeless. And now it's interesting to see chrome coming back.
Yeah.
So I really, really love the chrome too. Although it's hard to clean, but if you put it in the right spot or you have a serious cleaning lady, then you don't have to worry about it.
I think hardware is a great way to add a contrast to your cabinets. If you have a lighter cabinet, it's like what Skye did. She has that light gray cabinet, but then she put that matte black, very dark hardware on there, and it pops out and it just makes it a contrast piece versus a lighter or a darker cabinet and doing that brushed nickel on there, or that light gold. I think it just stands out more and makes your kitchen more unique too.
Well, and okay, so the house that you're building right now, Bella just ordered a brushed champagne gold kitchen faucet. And then what color were you planning on for the hardware on your cabinets?
Actually, I was going to so I have white oak all on the bottom, including my island. And I wanted to do that same light gold. But then I have white on the top, and I was thinking of doing black on the white.
Very cool.
So doing two-toned and then two different hardware. I think it's a super cool look, and it's definitely
So the bottom
unique.
part of the hardware would be
Gold.
And then black on top. That sounds cool.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it kind of pulls from everything. So I have a lot of black in my house, too, like as an accent, but still keeping that gold in.
Well, that's interesting because I just had a client that asked me the other day. She has a black kitchen island and then she's got white perimeter cabinets. And she's like, hey, Skye, what color of hardware do I do on the island? Like, do I do black on black? And you can certainly do that, but she's also mixing a lot of brushed nickel with her black. So I said, well, let's do brushed nickel on the island and let's do the matte black on the perimeter. And that's okay to do. So we just want to teach everybody that mixed metals
Don't be
fun.
afraid. Be brave.
Yes.
It looks
brave.
really
And your
nice.
bathroom can be a different metal than your kitchen. Like mine, I'm having different metals in my bathroom too than even my kitchen. And
And that's super fun. I love mixing that. As far as lighting goes and like pendant lights and things like that, I think the newest trend has been to do 2 bigger pendant lights like we've done here versus 3 smaller ones. It's way more impactful, and I feel like overall, just impactful, right? Like it makes a big statement when you're walking in, or it like covers a space of these larger kitchen islands, because back in the day the islands were small and they've gotten so much bigger.
They've gotten really, really large. And I think it elevates the space. It draws your eye up, especially even if you don't have really high ceilings. I think it kind of, like you said, fills the space. And then just adds a little bit of a finishing touch. It's like, the jewelry on your house. You can do something interesting and add a little bit more character. I love how you were saying before, you have mixes of very elegant and formal features in your home, and the lantern style itself doesn't feel that way, but then you have these little crystals on here that really add to it. And then you also have the black in that other room that has the crystal too. So, I mean, you could play it up or you could play it down, and it's just a great opportunity to maximize the space instead of those little, I remember just the little skinny single 3 in a row, and it almost becomes too repetitive. So doing something larger that has more of a presence is totally the way to go.
I think also adding like lights that have texture in them, like hammered glass or like a woven look around it.
Or like our drifted ones in the conference room.
Versus back then it was only like, again, those skinny lights or like the boob lights in the ceiling, and like being able to add a texture and a color into your space with lighting is huge.
I agree. 100% lighting. You can have so much fun with it. Really adds so much to your house. And we've always been all about lighting. So I think that's something to take a look around. We've got some amazing lights at Allure too. Take a look around and just check out your lighting for us. Is it to par for your space? Could it be improved? And how big of an impact would it make if you did change that out in that area? Right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about the outside of the house real quick. When we bought this, it was a 1979 Rambler. Walking up to the house, it was definitely nothing special. We had to see past that. And I think a lot of people, again, we know, have troubles visualizing. We had to see past that. For us, it was about the lot, and we knew that we could tackle this together. So we actually ended up doing a fairly big exterior renovation. This is probably about 3-4 years ago now, and transitioned the home. So in order to add the dimension that we needed to add to the house that was missing, is we took the peak from the garage and we built up another peak out for a front porch above the front door. And then did the 2 cedar beams with the stone in the bottom, upgraded the windows, and then obviously changed the outside whole overall visual look with new siding.
I mean, the curb appeal of your house now versus what it was before is just 360.
And the blue color is unlike like any blue I've seen, and I've said this multiple times. I was like, that is such a pretty blue.
It is a really pretty blue. So what it is I fell in love with this color like years before we even decided to do this, but it's Benjamin Moore's Dark Harbor, and it's like a deep, rich teal. And I love playing off that contrast. So here's another tip for you guys. If you're looking at a blue wall and you want to warm that up, go to the opposite end of the color wheel and go to like your reds, your oranges, your browns, and mix the 2 together to create that contrast. So what we did is we took that cedar and we stained it, and then we contrasted that with that really deep, rich teal, and it just, bam, it really pops in the white trim. So I would
suggest, it's really eye-catching, you know.
Yeah,
it grabs your attention for sure.
We basically took a straight up normal old school Rambler and updated it to the, you know, the current situation.
And I think it's important for people to know that you can go with like fun colors on the outside of your house. Like I think everyone's like stuck with white or brown or you know, that kind of thing. And but blues and even blacks, like you could never see someone doing a black house like 30 years ago.
No.
But now like my house is all black.
Yeah, and that would have been like a sin 30 years ago. I mean, like, what the heck?
Definitely not
thinking?
A common thing whatsoever. Right. But now I think it's amazing. And a lot of times, like when you drive around the lake, for instance, you know, you see these new construction homes. And even if they are prairie style or they are a traditional style, I think a lot of people are doing, you know, black on their windows and black on their, you know, accenting with more of a stark contrast. And I think that's a huge thing to point out.
Yeah, I get really bored looking. I mean, maybe it's because being a designer, you're always noticing all these things, but you drive around and every house is gray or every house is white. And it's like really like it all looks the same at some point. And so when we did this house, I really wanted it like to be, I guess, individualize it for myself, because I didn't want to pick a stock color that was, here's your color options, and then you can mix it with these color options. I was like, no, I want to do my own thing, and I want to make it unique from every other house that I'm so used to seeing. You know, to me, it's just like blah, blah, blah. When you're doing white and when you're doing gray, those are so safe. Like find a way, even if you're doing white and you're doing gray, to bring more character in your home. Like the pergola that we did over top of the garage, for instance, that really added a little bit more dimension to the house. And the planter box that we added over on the other side of the house, that really brought in more of that cedar color, but also more interest to that side of the house. And that planter box, we're going to pop up a picture of that here, because my carpenter bud made that for me. It is really gorgeous and so fun to change out seasonally too. But I just put fake flowers in there. A lot of people will put you know, the real flowers and so forth, but it really just added and changed the entire outside by doing that one piece.
I even think like painting your front door a fun color. Like my mom's house is white, but at one point she had a bright yellow front door. And it was so
cool.
cute.
That's
and
so cute.
Yeah, and doing them like blue or
that's
just
a good way
something
to
that's
change
different.
it up.
And not having to paint your whole house and spend the money, but just, you know, doing your door.
Well,
that's a really easy way to change it up.
I think the question is, do you want to have a house that people drive by and they're like, no, nothing special? Or do you want to have a house that's like, whoa, that house over there, and it has a presence, like you know where it is, you've seen it multiple times, and you're like, gosh, there's just something about it that I love.
Like that's really unique how they did that. That's really cool. There is a house on South Shore Drive that I admire every time, and you just reminded me of this because it's white and it has a bright yellow, like canary yellow door. And every time I drive by that, I'm like, man, I love that. That's so great. It's like they totally individualized that and broke it all apart to be their own. So good point on that, Bella. Just doing one simple door.
You have a client that has a black and white house with cedar, and they have a pink door.
Yes.
Yes. It's so cute.
It's so
and she has a daughter too, so it was like, oh, you guys won that fight. But it's gorgeous. So
yeah, see, that's fun. People can have a lot of fun just by doing that. So think about the outside of your house too, that curb appeal. And last thing I really want to talk about here is window treatments. So what we just did in here is we did, what are these exactly called again? The zebra shades or
melamine
roller shades?
No, what are they called?
Mezzanine.
No, the window shades.
The roller shades?
No, they have a certain name. Anyways, the banded. Sure. They're banded. Banded shades.
Okay. We were close.
Whatever she's
not at all.
But anyways, when you're doing window treatments, like I like to soften it up in layers. So as you notice, I've got the window shades, and then I've also got the curtains. Do I ever close the curtains? Not really, not ever. But they soften up the room and they add more texture and they help with the acoustics and all of the things. Not only on the inside do you want to think about those window treatments, but you also want to think about how they look on the outside when people are driving by. And I think if you've ever noticed, if you've ever driven by my house and you've checked out the window treatments or haven't, do so because they're really gorgeous. What I love about these particular window treatments is you can leave them slatted open or close them all the way or raise them all the way up. So there's like 3 options in one. And I personally just love this style of window treatment, but every window treatment, you got to think about inside and outside.
I think they're gorgeous. And I love that you did a light color and it's light filtering. And then you have the curtains, where if you really wanted to like black things out, you can completely close those too. And I love the fact that you're layering, again, texture, different color tones. It just adds to the space. And I think it kind of is the finishing touch on a room. If you have these really, really large windows you're investing all the money in to get the most light in or to have the best views, you really need to protect everything on the inside, like your furniture and your floors and your eyes whenever you're inside the home, if you've got a glare off the lake, or even if you just want to create more privacy between you and your neighbors, you know,
softening things up. Because I know a lot of people will be like, well, I don't need it on the lakeside because nobody's ever in the backyard. Well, I'm like one of those people. I close all the window shades at night.
Yeah.
But to me, it's not even also always about the privacy. It's about the interior and exterior visual of those and softening up that space. So they can have a lot just thinking about those window treatments. The other thing is we just currently redid our garage, which you may have seen on our Facebook page. But thinking about another area in your home that you should love is your garage space. You're using it all the time. You're storing stuff in it. You're pulling into the garage. You've got your kids' stuff in there. I mean, it's a everyday usage kind of space that everybody has to have. And even though ours is small, we really maximize the space in there with what we did.
And adding the extra added storage. I mean, a lot of people always have like, you know, a storage room, or maybe you have a lack of storage, but you have a nice sized garage. I love the fact that you did the built-in like brackets in the pipe to make it look interesting and to make
the
it
pipe
be
shelving.
also functional. So you can have your bins that you have for your holidays or for your additional dishes or linens or whatever it may be. But you can see specifically and have labels facing out, and it's just like
that was heaven this year, by the way.
It is so visually pleasing and aesthetically pleasing, but also it functions.
And it makes you just feel so good.
When I walk in,
you want to
like,
hang out in your garage.
Yes,
yeah,
like literally it's like a whole nother room now. I love going out there. It's heated now. I'm like, I could just hang out here all the time. In fact, next weekend for Thanksgiving, we're going to be having a little garage party out there after dinner. And playing some guitar and so forth. So it's just another space that I can say, hey, let's go hang out in the garage, and I'm not embarrassed about it.
Yes. I think a lot of people, when people go into their garage, they're like, no, like it's a mess. But being able to like want people to come into your garage, being able to host something or like do something in there is really important because it is a part of your house, and I think you should be able to utilize it.
You pay for all that square footage. You might as well make it look nice.
And organization too. I mean, like Roxanne was saying with the labeled totes. Now, this is my first year after having this completed where I was able to pull out all my Christmas stuff. And oh my God, it was so heavenly. It was heavenly. I was able to pull out the totes and know where they are and access them by myself without my husband's help or running to a storage unit or so on and so forth, and just pull it out all out. And I enjoyed my time putting it up and getting it together. So we also did that in our closet in our main bathroom here too. I renovated the closet in the main bathroom, you know, where you've got all the toilet paper and all the extra towels and everything with bed linens. And we really went through and organized and labeled every tote in there too. So when I can open up that closet, because it is a smaller house, I feel like you do need to kind of go through things frequently and get rid of the clutter and be very organized, so you know where everything's at and it's not just jammed in a closet.
Label makers, they're the best thing ever. One more thing about your garage I'm just gonna touch on too is the epoxy flooring. Epoxy flooring is something I think that when you're building a house, for one, is the best time to consider it, or at least let us give you a price point on it for the materials and the labor. But it's another way that you can incorporate some brightness to the space, because a lot of garages are dingy and dark and they don't have the right lighting and that kind of thing. So depending on what you're into, we do have all options of flake flooring on sample boards at Design to Sell. So if you were curious to see what they look like, Skye actually did something that has a little bit of like a bluish gray tone in it. And I think that was the perfect choice. It brightens it up just a little bit.
It really brightened up the garage.
It does. And it adds a little bit of cohesiveness. Like when you come into the rest of this space, it's like, okay, you have the soft blues and grays, and it just feels like an extension of your home too.
Yeah. And then the storage cabinets that we did out there too. I mean, it really, those are heavenly also. I mean, I just can't believe how we functioned before with such a mess for so many years, but you know, it all takes time, right? So tackle one area at a time. That's the best advice I can give to anybody too, is we have people that are like, I want to do this and then I want to do this, and they're walking you around the whole house, and not only is it overwhelming to them, but it is overwhelming to us too, because it's like, okay, let's do one area at a time and let's do it really well and let's do it exactly how you want it. And then after you totally love this area, then let's tackle this area. Because let's put all our effort and all of our planning into this space and get you exactly what you want versus spreading it out between all the different rooms.
Yeah. And I think people get very like overwhelmed when they see this whole house and they're like, okay, I literally have to renovate this entire thing. But again, going by like one room, and like we're here to help, obviously. And
I feel like Roxanne's kind of struggling with that on her own at the moment with her
I want to do everything.
She's like, Skye, I need you to come over. We got to take a look at this.
I booked her for a consultation.
I want to do this. You have to come over and help. And so I think what she had going before, she had this plan to do this beautiful bathroom renovation. And then she's also been doing her mood boards on her bedroom renovation. And then she's talked about things to do in her living room. And I know, like, as a designer, like, you have all these plans. I think the best thing too, though, about that situation is when you're in your space, you can feel it out and know, like, I feel like you learn a lot by just being in the space as it is.
Yes.
And then using it and learning from it and how you can make it better to improve your life situation and how you want it to function too.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And look, because I've tried like moving into new homes before, and I've tried like planning everything out before I move in there. And
it's like, oh, this isn't what I expected or thought that this would look like.
I get in there and I don't end up doing anything that I pre-planned because I've used it in a different way than what I thought I was going to once I got in the space.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I don't know if we're going to end up doing anything. I mean, eventually we would love to build a house, and then that would be a whole new ball game. That would be completely different. But I think like working with what you have and then doing, even if it's minor changes, like we have laminate countertops and we have sheet vinyl floors. And I kind of love the sheet vinyl in certain areas of the home because
it's easy to clean too.
He does drywall. So, I mean, there's dust everywhere and everything like that. But even doing something as simple as like doing new countertops and doing a backsplash in the kitchen, like it would be stunning.
Update night and day.
And it makes a huge difference. And again, too, like we have brushed nickel hardware everywhere except for on our doors, which are hollow core wood that have the gold brass colors.
Yep.
So it's like, you know, it's something
like
where
that alone too, just updating the doors. I mean, huge difference.
Yes. So those are the two major things that I think you see every single day that make a huge impact that you can easily swap out. Yeah.
Okay, and lastly, let's end with a little, I want to talk about this new hotel collection that we just got in.
Oh my gosh, it smells so amazing in here, by the way, guys.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So we fell in love with it. It's basically the hotel collection is based off of different scent. It's a scenting and a fragrance line, okay? And we have it at Allure, and it is different scents that are in different hotels across the world. Like the Ritz-Carlton was one of them. And so you guys have to come into Allure and you got to smell these things because they're amazing. There's diffusers, there's candles, there's room sprays, and we are going wild over this.
And they're hypoallergenic. They're vegan. They're totally fine to have in your home with pets, kids, even if you're pregnant. I mean, it's a cold air diffusion, which for the diffusers, let's just talk about that for a second because for example, at Allure, we've had humidifiers in there before and we had to stop using them completely because the vapor of water resting on anything can cause a residue to happen. And then you're going around cleaning everything. So with the cold air diffusion, it's only happening with the oil. And she said, even when we did our training, that there's some kind of like molecular thing that happens where it burns off a lot of that, but then it's released as a vapor. So you're not going to get a residue left on anything. And then it's just the pure
or
essence
furniture
or the
damage.
Pure smell that
because
you're smelling.
You don't have to use water at all.
Yeah, which I think is a huge benefit. I mean, I've had diffusers in the past where you put essential oils with water and then you open it up and you're like, gosh, I got to clean this thing. It's all icky and nasty. This is actually a bottle that screws in, so it's airtight. You're not going to get anything that comes in it that can cause any mildew or anything. And that's the difference also with the water versus just the oil diffusion. So it's a game changer. I mean, when you walk into a space and you have that cozy ambiance of just having that soft, natural smell. Oh,
and I love that you can personalize it to like how strong you like things too. Because you can put it on 3 different levels. So one is every 5 minutes, every 3 minutes, and then every other minute. So if you like things strong, if you don't, versus like a normal diffuser, I know that you just kind of turn it on, some of them, and they just go at what you want or what you don't want. But yeah.
So come on in and try those out. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching our design duo. We are back at you and we are so excited to be back again. I know it's been a while since we've done our last podcast. Cassidy is loving the podcast, so she'll get this out to you as soon as she can. But anyways, have a great Thanksgiving, everybody, and thank you so much for watching.